Okay, and it's 6 o'clock p.m. Good evening, and welcome to the March 10th, 2014 regular meeting of the Waterloo Community School District Board of Education. I hereby call the meeting to order. And initially, I'd just like to note, Dr. Norris is out of town today, so it was a good opportunity for Dr. Lindeman, our superintendent-elect, to sit in for her first meeting. So she's with us tonight while Dr. Norris is gone. Now, please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Now please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I will read now the school district's mission statement. The Waterloo Schools community commits to a comprehensive system of education and support to assure that each and every student will graduate prepared for college, career, and citizenship, as evidenced by continuing education, pursuing a career path, and contributing to a community. That takes us to the first item on our agenda, which is a discussion about the Teacher Leadership and Compensation Grant. And Dr. Lindeman will discuss this. This was the grant that the district found out a week ago that we were accepted into the program in the first year of it. There's some information on our board packet in Exhibit A on page 1. But with that, I'll just turn it over to Dr. Lindeman to give us some background information and then see if there are any questions.
Sure, happy to do that. Last legislative session, last spring, spring of 2012, the legislature appropriated some money for the TLC grant, and they had teacher leadership and compensation. And the reason they did that was just so that they could recognize that teachers are really a great way for teachers to learn. They can learn from each other. And so they allowed districts, all districts in the state of Iowa, to decide whether they would be interested in applying for a grant. And many were, a lot were. And so in just a week ago, we were recognized that we were in the first round of funding, which is they only funded 39 districts across the state of Iowa. And we are thrilled, honestly. It amounts to about almost $3.4 million in teacher leadership funding. So it would be for teachers, to pay teachers to work with other teachers, and it really has an instructional focus to improve instructional effectiveness for students, looking at data, improving the instruction, making sure that we are meeting their needs. So right now, we had a meeting this morning and realized maybe writing the grant was probably the easy part. Implementing it is really going to be the tougher part. We started our to-do list of everything that we're springing into action on, and I think we stopped at 40 items or something like that. But so in the next few weeks, we will kind of be honing in on exactly what that work will look like. There's a requirement as part of the grant that anybody who is going to serve in that capacity go through a pretty rigorous selection process. So we'll have teams of people that are interviewing, and on those teams would be equal numbers of teachers and administrators. And we'll have actually 3 teams, an elementary team, a middle school team, and a high school team, and they'll be interviewing everybody and selecting the people that best fit the needs of the district and can work with the staff. So we've got a lot of work to do. We would love an opportunity to come back in a couple months and talk about that a little bit more, maybe have a few people that are actually going to serve in these new roles, and we'd love to have them share with you maybe the before, the middle, and the after of their first year. So it's an exciting thing for us, and we're thrilled to be in on that, the first level.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Lindeman. Any questions or discussion?
Does this have a sunset at all, or is this continuing ongoing?
Yeah, it is. It's continuing. So once you get the funding, you actually are in, and it goes in on the state aid formula. So it actually comes to you through your regular yearly appropriations. So the districts that got in this year, you're in now from here on out until such time when the legislature doesn't fund that. Yeah. Until the legislature said it isn't in, but yeah.
We've been a little ahead of the curve as far as having some teacher leaders already. Will they continue, or will they be funded through this same money?
Yeah, some of the some of the existing staff members will be funded through this funding, so, that'll help. And there will be some new positions. There were certain goals that you had to write and achieve, and so you had to allocate staff and hire staff to meet those goals. So there will be some new, some existing. The one stipulation is that regardless of whether they were existing or new, they have to go through the rigorous selection process. So even people that are currently serving in those roles will be going through that interview process.
Thank you.
Will we end up taking some of our best teachers out of the classroom as part of this?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we want to hire the best people for the job to reach all of their peers. So, yeah, there will be some teachers. I mean, we're going to be looking at the very best suited teachers to serve their peers. And that really is about building capacity within the whole district.
I think that was one of the concerns that was
Yeah,
brought up.
sure.
I think this all
Absolutely,
came
yeah.
from the governor's
Right,
education
right,
reform bill that ultimately
right,
was passed.
right.
The second year it came out. And that was one of the arguments that was against it, that it would take it out. But then, this is all voluntary, correct? Teachers have to apply for the
Correct.
the
Yep.
leadership positions. Okay.
Mhm.
Getting back a little bit to Mike's question on what we already have in place, I'm thinking lead teachers in elementary school,
Yeah,
high
we
school, or
yeah.
coaches.
If you're asking about
throughout-
the
yeah,
existing
the
staff
existing that we
members,
already have.
we currently have, and you're right when you say Waterloo is a little bit ahead of the curve, and I think some of the other bigger districts are.
Okay.
So we have lead teachers that serve in our elementary schools. Each elementary school, that would be a teacher leadership role.
Okay.
They're on a teacher contract, but they're serving in a leadership role. We have instructional coaches. Any staff members can tell you that they work with their literacy coaches. We have a few, not too many math coaches. And even, our facilitators at the high school, our academy facilitators, would be teachers who are serving in a leadership capacity. And then I would even add content coaches or content department chairs would be covered through this, and even at the a third grade team leader would be a teacher
Oh,
leader
okay.
too. So it even
Okay.
goes down to a little bit smaller, where they're teaching the full time, but maybe taking on an extra leadership capacity. So that even fits within
Okay,
this
gotcha.
within
Okay.
these parameters.
And that may get to the point that a teacher can still teach and stay in the classroom, but
Right.
also
Right.
whether it's 80-20 or 50-50.
Yeah.
Is there a component to this to do a best fit for teachers in the environment that
Right.
A, they want, and B, they've
Absolutely.
demonstrated?
Yeah.
So,
And that would be part of that selection criteria, looking at the job description and then looking at the position that we have open, the location, the position, and finding that best match.
but I'm talking about the teachers that aren't part of this, the new teachers, for example.
Oh,
So,
hiring new teachers to the district?
yeah, so,
Mhm.
I mean, are we still under the bargaining unit rules in terms of seniority and that sort of thing?
For this position, for teachers who are going to be hired through this, it really is a best fit. It's not a most senior.
Yeah.
It is looking for the person who best fits that criteria. It
But
is
I'm-
not a,
But I'm talking about the cadre at any particular school. Is there anything in this that allows rearranging for a best fit?
I'm not sure that I'm following your question.
Oh, for example, if we went to project-based learning in a particular school or for a particular trial, that takes really a little different skill set. All right. So
Yeah.
is there anything in here that would allow more discretion on which teachers end up
Right.
in what
Right.
setting?
Well, that the example that you gave, that's not necessarily a teacher role. That's a teacher assignment, or that's not a teacher leader role. So that probably wouldn't be covered through the parameters of this particular grant. But if you're starting something like that, or you're looking for position, you're always looking for the best fit. If it's an internal search, then you might take the person who is the most senior, all other things being equal. But for that type of a thing, what you've referenced, of course, yeah, and Bev, if you have other ideas on that, but you would definitely look at the person who is best suited for that
Right.
particular.
That's the skills, and
Yeah.
when we post a position like that, we post based on qualifications. and specific skills are identified, so it'd have to be a good match.
Mm-hmm.
That's outside of, as Dr. Lindeman said, the teacher leader group. The teacher leader positions.
Oh, sorry.
The teacher leader positions are all going to be looked at very carefully by this peer review team. So there will definitely be district-wide standards that have to be met, as well as building level standards that have to be met. So from the contextual standpoint, there's the building level team that will assist in picking the people who will best fit that building.
Including the lead teachers under this program.
Including the lead
Lead
teachers.
teachers are funded through this.
Okay, and so the lead teachers we have now will have to go through this process to be selected.
That is, yeah.
Okay, and will be, I don't know how many lead teachers we have now, but does this help increase that? So we have more?
For that particular category, we did not add additional lead teachers. There are other spots where we did add staff. For example, instructional coaches.
Okay.
We would be looking at the existing ones, and we're not actually looking to fund every one of those out of even though 3.4 million sounds like a lot, it actually isn't enough to fund all of the different teachers that we have serving in leadership roles. So we've really made some decisions about which ones would best meet the goals of the grant. There's 6 goals of the grant, so.
Okay.
But it funds about 50
Yeah. Mhm.
teachers.
Yep, that's correct. Mhm.
So these will be a net add?
No, and if you were paying the entire salary, I might get a little too into the weeds here if we're gonna really go through the budget. It'd probably be easier for me to show you on a spreadsheet. But there's a requirement to do an added stipend for the teachers who are serving in a leadership role. So you're adding responsibility and days on their contract. So you have to pay for that. So part of the $3.4 million goes to different stipends for a variety of people. So you're right that if we were just paying the salaries, you might say we're funding 50 people, but we might be funding 30 full-time people and then stipends for a lot of different teacher leaders, because Lyle, a good example is the teachers who serve as a mentor for the first year teachers. We have like 130 of them. All of their stipends would be funded out of this. So again, if you said, are we funding 50 people? Well, not 50 full-time salaries. We're actually funding probably 200 people, but some of them it's their full salary plus their stipend, and other people it's just their stipend. Did that make sense?
I'm glad we have the money.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
that's
a